voting to the president's post has concluded, and in a contest between NDA's Droupadi Murmu and the joint opposition candidate Yashwant Sinha, it appears clearly that the former will win a comfortable majority. Nearly 4,800 elected MPs and MLAs are voting to elect the next president of India. Counting of votes will take place on the 21st of July, and the next president will take oath on the 25th of July. In the latest, Mohammed Moquim, a Congress MLA from Odisha, went against the party line and voted for Droupadi Murmu. Meanwhile, presidential candidate Yashwant Sinha has levelled a game of money allegation against the NDA. Let's listen in.
मैं एक पॉलिटिकल लड़ाई ही नहीं लड़ रहा हूं। आप सब जानते हैं कि मैं सरकारी एजेंसियों के खिलाफ भी लड़ाई लड़ रहा हूं। इसमें सरकारी एजेंसियां बहुत सक्रिय हो गई हैं और राजनीतिक दलों में तोड़फोड़ करवाने का काम कर रही हैं। लोगों को इस बात के लिए बाध्य कर रही हैं कि वो उनके पक्ष में वोट डालें और पैसे का भी खेल हो रहा है।
Also, we now have the names for the vice presidential candidates as well. It will be Margaret Alva versus Jagdeep Dhankar, the former governor of West Bengal. And just a short while ago, in fact, we heard Margaret Alva also speaking about her candidature, saying that she is ready to take on the challenge. Okay, joining me on the program here on The Big Focus this evening is Mr. Ashutosh, political analyst and senior journalist. Very good evening, Ashutosh. Thank you so much for joining us here on Mirror Now. I want to begin by asking you, the voting for the presidential polls have concluded. One of the big talking points, takeaways, whatever you want to say, is that it's a foregone conclusion that Droupadi Murmu is going to be the next president. What is also important here is that the candidature of Droupadi Murmu has forced not just non-aligned parties to support the NDA candidate, but even Congress allies like JMM were forced to support her. Would you call it a great masterstroke by the NDA, the fact that they came up with her name and it became a situation where parties couldn't afford to be seen not supporting her?
See, I will not call it a master stroke because that has become a word which has been used so often. The fact is that Droupadi Murmu is the first tribal woman to become the president. I think that's a defining moment for the Indian democracy for the simple reason because somebody who has been the first to move out of a village and became was the first to go to the college. And she wanted to go for the higher studies, and then she was told that you can't study in Mayurbhanj, you have to go to Bhubaneswar. She moved. That was a great leap. Today, becoming a president, the vice president is incidental in the sense because so many things are defined, so many things have happened. But if she had not moved from Mayurbhanj to Bhubaneswar, I think the story would have not reached to this level. The fact is that Droupadi Murmu carries a uniqueness with herself. In today's vote bank politics, the identity has become so important. So it's very difficult for a few opposition political parties like JMM, like Biju Patnaik and others to vote against, seem to be voting against a tribal woman. It's not that they are voting for Droupadi Murmu, but they're voting for a candidate who carries a very strong presence and across India, and that's why it's very important, and that's why BJP supporter might call it a master stroke. I think it's a defining moment for Indian democracy, and I think it should be celebrated.
But isn't it a big setback for the opposition? Congress has been left red-faced with some of its MLAs not just voting against the party line, but even coming out and saying so. And I believe there are certain Congress MLAs who have said that since Mr. Yashwant Sinha came from the BJP camp and all their lives they were opposed to a person like him, suddenly now to be told to vote for Yashwant Sinha became difficult. Do you think that the opposition did not resolve these matters or did not think it through?
See, the problem with the opposition is that the opposition is still living in the old world. Since Modi became the Prime Minister and became the supreme leader of the BJP, BJP has changed its track. And it is purely playing and identity politics. Like what is Hindutva? Hindutva is a meta identity. And within that identity, if you remember last time when suddenly out of the blue, Ramnath Kovind became the president, and he became the president, and he was a Dalit president. Not the first time a Dalit became the president, but he became Dalit president. So from Dalit, again, they chose a tribal woman to become the president. Again, they have chosen for the vice presidency candidate Jagdeep Dhankar, a Jat leader coming from Rajasthan. So BJP is trying to look and find out new opportunities for its new votes. Opposition is still lost in the old world. Maybe I can call it out of sync from the modern politics. The modern Indian politics is all about identity politics. Margaret Alva, no disrespect to Margaret Alva, no disrespect to Yashwant Sinha, but they do not carry that kind of uniqueness. They don't carry a vote bank with them. Margaret Alva may be a misfit even in the Karnataka politics also. So Droupadi Murmu, so many opposition political parties were forced to vote for Droupadi Murmu for the simple reason because all of them were nervous that if they don't vote for Droupadi Murmu, they might lose a tribal vote. It's similar thing happened in the 2017 also when the Ramnath Kovind became the president. So several political parties, they were scared Dalit votes, so they voted for the Ramnath Kovind.
Yes.
So I think that's the modern Indian politics, but unfortunately opposition is still living in the old world.
So you're saying part of it is electoral compulsions, part of it is identity politics. Are you also, in a way, let's move to the vice presidential candidates. When we look at Margaret Alva and Jagdeep Dhankar, do you think the similar logic plays out here in this contest as well?
Yeah, of course. Not that Jagdeep Dhankar is an ideal choice. No disrespect again to Jagdeep Dhankar. But the fact is that he belongs to the Modi government has realized that in the last few years they had faced the wrath of the farmers, and that virtually had shaken the Modi government, and the Modi government has to withdraw the three farm laws which they had produced. So they wanted to send a message to the farmers. They also wanted to send a message to the Jat community that, look, if we had made a mistake in the past, we are to correct it. And that's why, if you remember, the JP Nadda, the party president of the BJP, while holding a press conference and announcing the name, said that he is a Kisan Putra. Why are you calling me Kisan Putra? Because this is very simple. That we are installing him, we are making him as our candidate for the vice president. And if you have if you're angry with us, now this is the time when that anger should be neutralized. I think that's the reason. Margaret Alva, again, is 80 years old, comes from Karnataka, and doesn't carry that identity of a politician, which forces opposition leaders or which forces the BJP that if they had chosen a Dalit as a vice president, they have chosen as a OBC as a vice presidential candidate, certainly would have created ripples within the NDA also. They would have been forced to think about it whether if they don't vote a Dalit vice president or a OBC vice president, maybe they draw some kind of anger from the community.
What you're saying, Ashutosh, it's clear that the NDA is setting the agenda and the opposition is seen to be catching up, and that doesn't always work in politics. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Big Focus.
Thank you.